What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Diesel Creek. My name's Matt. So, last week I made a video about going to the auction and looking for some more projects, and I left you guys on a bit of a cliffhanger ending because the video got pretty long and the auction was not over. Anyway, it's been almost a week. The auction is well over with, so today we're going to go over the prices some things sold for, and we're going to check out what I ended up buying and bringing home. Alright, well we have the two Toro Dingo walk behind skid steers coming up here right now. Those two that we were playing around on. There we go. This is that one. What do you guys think these are going to go for?
7,500, 7,500, 7,500. Got an opening bid, 6,000. Now 8,000. And now 7,000, 8,000, never gets in at 8,000, never gets in at 7. And now 70 goes 7,000. And now 70 goes 7,000, never gets 6, 7, now 8, and now 8, 7, now 8,000, never get 9, at 8, now 9,000.
Not really feeling it. Not a lot of machine for $9,000. Handy. Not really for me. That is crazy.
He bought 47, got 46 available, only 10,000. Open offer, anybody want it? 10,000. All right, go again. 8,000. 8,000 sold. 10,500. And the buyer number is 86254. 86254 going to Colorado.
Jeez.
All right, now you got a choice.
No, thank you. Well, here we are after day 2 of the auction, and this is all that's left in my watch list. Not that I'm actually interested in any of these. My dad was maybe looking at some of these. But that's the only thing left. That's the only thing left of any interest to me right there is that old school bus. But for $1,700, it doesn't interest me. I've seen school buses in about the same condition go for $800 or $1,000. So for $1,700, they can keep it. Alrighty, well, it's been about a week since the auction closed, so let's go over some prices here. I'm in my watch list right now on the Ritchie Brothers website, and I have not showed you all of this stuff. Some of this stuff was like at the other location, and some of it was at our location, but I just didn't show it to you. First thing on the list here we'll go over, this D6R. This was the one that said you can't fix stupid on the blade. This is that one, said you can't fix stupid on the blade. This machine was listed as parts and inoperable, and I believe it had some sort of transmission or steering pump issue because the whole floor was ripped out of it. Obviously they were chasing some sort of issue underneath the cab there. It sold for $28,000, which I thought was pretty high, actually. I really didn't think this was going to bring that kind of money. I don't remember the hours that were on it or if it even says, but it's a 1998 model. You know, $28,000 for inoperable seems kind of high. Next here we have the crane truck that we looked at, and this LT8000 was a really nice crane truck, a national series. I think it went up to like 120 some feet, and the whole unit was really clean, well kept, you could tell. And it sold for $17,000, which I'm not surprised at, actually, because that's still a very viable truck. Some engine work or a replacement engine, and you're going to be off to the races, I'm sure of that. The old short bus here, I was interested, but ended up going for $1,800, and for that kind of price, I didn't need it. The only thing I was really interested in was the old 5.9 Cummins there, and I was just kind of interested in it for future projects down the road. I don't need it right now. I have no immediate use for it, so we'll let that one go for now. There were some rollers I was looking at. You know, this thing was pretty well beat on. Older machine, 10 grand. Nah, I'll pass. The old Grove rough terrain crane here. We looked at this thing and it's listed as parts and stationary as well. Doesn't mean it won't run, it just doesn't currently. So it was all there. It looked like it probably would have run with a little bit of tinkering. Ended up going for $5,750, which I think was probably a pretty fair price, but not a steal either. If you were in the market and you needed a crane, I think that was probably a pretty good buy. This machine here, I did not show you guys. This was at the other location. This was down in Maryland, but it was in the same auction as ours. So this is the same model, but a little bit newer than the machine that Mike from Dirt Perfect has, if you're familiar with his channel. And I talked to him about this machine and showed it to him, and he said it was in pretty good shape, and he thought it would be a good deal for anything under 40. Ended up selling for $34,000, which I may have jumped on it had I been there in person to really examine it. Without going and really looking at it some in person, I have a hard time throwing $30,000+ at something. And then on top of the $34,000, of course, you're going to have the auction fees, the taxes, all that crap. So you wind out of there probably closer to 37 or 38. These air tanks, they've been getting a bunch of these heavy-duty commercial air tanks in. I imagine coming off of that shell cracker plant that I mentioned in the first video. And they've been selling for really cheap. If you needed a big air tank, man, $110, $120 for a 240-gallon industrial tank with probably very little use on them. How you going to beat that? That's a real good deal. These concrete buggies, we looked at these, and I thought they were in pretty good shape, and I have no doubt that they would have run and functioned just fine, although they are listed as parts and inoperable. Sold for $3,000 and $2,500. Probably a pretty fair price if you needed one for yourself. The only interest I had in them was buying them, get them running, and then sell them outright. So I think that didn't leave a whole lot of meat on the bone to make any money on. So let those go as well. The Ram Crew Cab 5500 I was pretty interested in. The only thing I didn't like about that truck was four-wheel drive on the dash rather than a manual linkage on the floor. But I made that clear in the last video. Everybody was hating on me for hating on Dodge, but we all like what we like. $41,000 for a truck with 110,000 miles on it. If this was 2 years ago, I'd say that was really high, but right now, probably not a bad price, but I really don't need a new truck that bad. I'm going to hang in there and look for something else. I kind of been brainstorming about a different route we could go there, and I think it'd be a really cool project. The Ram-X Walk-Behind. This is just a little bit bigger than the one I did on the channel a couple weeks ago. Sold for $750. If you needed a compactor, I think that was a steal of a deal. I just have so many compactors, it's not even funny, so I sure didn't need to bid on another one. Some more air tanks. These ones bigger, 660 gallons, $240, $230. Man, how could you beat that? That is a heck of a deal. I'm sure that these things are probably $5,000, $6,000, maybe $10,000 new. I just have no use for something that big, though. There's a TL240, a couple years older than my machine, but I did watch it just for comparison. Sold for $25,000. As some of you know, I paid a little bit more than that for mine. I think I paid $27 or $28 for mine, and ended up having to put like $3,000 into the tracks right after I got it. So all told, I think I'm about $30, $31 in mine. But I am happy with my machine, and I think it was in a little bit better shape than this one. The hour meter on this one read that it was only like 540 hours, but I believe that to be a discrepancy because looking at it in person, the machine had been repainted and the tracks were wore slap out on it, so I really doubt that it was 540 hours. The old Terex D700, man, I was in love with this dozer. I really, really liked this thing. It was just an oddball, sweet-looking machine. Big scream in Detroit. Well, not a big scream in Detroit, but a scream in Detroit nonetheless. A $671 for a power unit. And sold for $4,000 for a 50,000-pound machine. So that's less than scrap value. But as inoperable condition, it's just a headache to get it loaded and hauled out to the farm. The farm is not readily accessible by tractor trailer yet, so it makes things interesting. I probably had to have towed that down the dirt road for half a mile, and that would have been a headache I just didn't need right now. I took some of you guys' advice and thought maybe I should finish some other projects before I start another one. So there'll be more Dozers in the future, but we let this one go. These Toro Dingoes, I can't believe what these things bring. Every time I watch these things go at the auction, I can't believe it. 10,000 and 10.5, and the hours don't seem that bad, but hours on a little unit like this versus hours on a big unit like this are not apples to apples. These units looked like they were pretty well beat on. They were covered in like roofing tar or something like that. I don't know exactly what it was, but they were functional, but I would call them pretty rough. So to see units like that bring 10.5 is, I don't know what to say about it. It's too much for me. 30 by 10 field office, we looked at that. It was in pretty good condition. Sold for $9.95. Yeah. Somebody needed it a lot more than I did, but probably not a bad price if and you needed it. All the blocks pretty much sold for $500. What else? These rig mats. Couldn't believe what these rig mats brought. If you guys know what these things cost, drop a comment down below, because they're just a 4x8 sheet of hard plastic with some treads cut in them. And I really was stunned to see that these things brought $32.5. I figured that those things, when I looked at them before I ever saw the price, I figured that those probably would only brought a few $100s at the most. $32.50 is way more than I thought they should have gone for. So obviously they must be pretty expensive. Anyways, that's pretty much all the stuff that we were looking at. Now that begs the question, what did you get, Matt? What did you get? Pickup day. Me and Buddy Bob are up here picking up our glorious auction buys. Already some stuff cleared out of here, but most of it's still here. We got us a trailer load of plastic barrier wall and a whole nother trailer load to go. I'm really kicking myself for not buying the old green machine there. It went for $4,000, and I just felt that was not more than it was worth, but I just don't need the aggravation right now. I've got so many other projects in the works, and I don't really have the time for it. And I was pretty seriously interested in this Deere 85D, but it never got put in the auction. I don't know if it showed up too late or what. We're going to be looking for that at the next auction for sure. That's a tight machine. I like it. So my buddy Bob here picked himself up a beautiful, heavily used Dodge Ram, and all these plastic barriers. We're going to haul his stuff first, and then we're going to get to mine. All right, back out here for the first trip of my stuff. I've got these 8 barrier blocks.
I got 5 pieces of candy. I got a chocolate bar. I got a quarter. I got a rock.
And these things are pretty handy for all kind of stuff out the farm. Specifically making up bins for holding gravel or scrap metal or whatever. They're pretty handy. I did screw up and I bid on the lot that had one crack down here, but that'll hold together. A lot of rebar in there. The hook doesn't exactly fit through the hoop on the block, so a little sketchy the way it's picking it up, but works. That ain't going nowhere. Well, the other big exciting thing I won was this here water tank. Not because I wanted it, not because I needed it, but because it was $5. Nobody else bid on this thing, so now it's mine. But I don't think it was a bad deal. I don't see any holes in it. Big ball valve alone over here is probably worth 20 bucks. So I think we're ahead on this deal. Well, it wasn't exactly a fine grade, but I fired up the old Great Pumpkin there, back drug everything around here, kind of knocked down all the ruts. Everything was getting pretty rutted up around here, and that's not so bad right now while it's all still soft, but we're getting into even colder time of year, and all this stuff is going to freeze rock solid, and then you got 10-12 inch ruts frozen solid. That gets to be quite a bear. So I just threw the old back drag on this, and it looks a lot better. It should drain some of the water out so it doesn't hold the water and get even wetter. This all has fall to it down through here. So I got all my bin blocks stacked up over here real nice and neat, which was probably all for naught because I think I have a pretty immediate use for those things. which if I end up doing it, you guys are going to see it in a video here pretty soon. I was thinking about, for the heck of it, just trying to see if I could fix this one broken block here. I was thinking about drilling some 1-inch holes down through it and then putting some dowel rods in it with epoxy, and you know, it might hold up. We'll see. Worth a shot. That epoxy is some pretty strong stuff. And over here, I stacked up all those barriers from my buddy's auction win, and he's going to use the ones that he needs, and he told me I could have the rest of them. So I don't know what I'm going to do with 100 plastic barriers, but I'm sure we'll figure out a use for them. And then, of course, the 550-gallon water tote that I won for $5. I didn't really have a need for this thing, but for $5, how could I go wrong? So there doesn't appear to be any holes in it, but I tell you what, it could sure use a good scrubbing in here. It's pretty gross. Bunch of garbage over here, and I think I know what that is. That's all the backs of the stickers that the Ritchie Brothers people peel off and put on everything. So instead of carrying around their garbage, they threw it in here, which was mighty nice of them. But I think we're gonna get after this thing with a steam cleaner before we fill it up when the time comes that we need it. It's pretty gross in there. All right, well, I guess I am a little disappointed that I didn't come home with a big green bulldozer or something of the sort. I was pretty fond of that machine and a few others, the Terex especially, just because it was so unique. You don't see a lot of those around here, and definitely don't see any on YouTube. So I broke up this video into 2 pieces for the reason that there was still auction going on at the end of the last video. I had not bought anything yet at the end of the last video, but I was pretty sure I was gonna. I ended up taking the advice of so many of you that comment and say, hey, why don't you, finish a project before you start another one? I took some of that advice, and I thought, I don't really have the time to mess with another project right now, nor the place to do it. Anyway, I didn't buy myself another play toy because I already have so many play toys that need my attention, and until I have a nice big shop, I think I'm gonna try to hold off unless I come across a really good smoking deal that I just can't pass up. So nothing at the auction went for really good smoking deals. The Terex bulldozer did go for $4,000, which, while that's not a terrible price, I did not think it was a smoking red hot deal or anything like that. There was a bright spot at the end of the auction here. As we were driving out of the auction yard carrying all these barriers on the trailer, we passed a truck coming into the auction dropping something off. That truck was carrying another M35A2 deuce and a half on the back, and I'm assuming he was dropping it off for the next auction. So pretty excited to see that in the upcoming auction. I've been after one of those for a long time, and this time I'm pretty sure I'm going to pull the trigger on it. I actually gave it half a mind to see about retrofitting the crane truck body, the actual crane itself, onto the deuce and a half chassis. I think the frame measurements are pretty close to the same, and that would be a pretty capable crane. So I'm pretty excited to see that thing in the next auction. We'll see what else that next auction has to offer. These auction videos seem to do pretty well. You guys like tagging along with me to go see what kind of junk I can turn up at the auctions. So you guys enjoy it, I enjoy it. Makes for a pretty fun day for both of us. Anyways, guys, the sun is literally setting on this video, and if you would, coming into this Christmas season, give me a present, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button down below. It really helps out the channel and doesn't cost you guys a thing. And of course, if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you tickle that subscribe button so I can catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Later.